Introduction, Part 1, the Holy Qur'an and its divisions. So we're on to divisions. The Holy Qur'an is divided into 114 chapters, each of which is called a surah. 2:23. The word surah means literally eminence or high degree, also any step of a structure, and in the book itself is applied to a chapter of Al-Quran, either because of its eminence or because each chapter is, as it were, a distinct degree or step of in the whole book, which is thus compared to a structure. The chapters of the Holy Quran are of varying lengths, the largest comprising fully 1/12 of the entire book, 286 verses, and the smallest containing only 3 verses. Each chapter is, however, complete in itself, and therefore called a book, and the whole of Al-Quran is said to contain many books, pure pages, wherein are rightly directing books, 98, 2, and 3. The longer chapters are divided into rukus, or sections, so people can bow their way through the prayer pauses. And of course, there's a difference of opinion whether it's 8 or 20 or, both of which would be correct if that's the dividing up, because there's not a limit per se. There's not a particular. 8 is the more common rendition of what the Taraweeh prayer typically was at the beginning. Each section dealing with one subject, the different sections being interrelated. Again, each section contains a number of ayat, or verses. The word ayat means originally an apparent sign or mark, and in this sense comes to mean a miracle, but it also signifies a communication or a message from God that is applied to such to a verse of the Holy Quran, as well as to a revelation or law. Each chapter, with the exception of the concluding 35 chapters, is divided into sections, the largest number of sections in a chapter being 40, and each section, as also each single section chapter, is divided into a number of verses. The total number of verses in the Holy Quran is 6,247, or 6,360 if we add to each chapter the common opening verse of Bismillah. Oh, there's actually a couple different opinions of how many verses there are, but the actual letters, there's no difference of opinion there. So, 4. The purposes of recitation. The Holy Quran is divided into 30 parts of equal length to enable the reciter to complete its recitation in 1 month. Each such part is called a juz part, every part being again subdivided into 4 parts. Another division of the book, traceable to the Prophet himself, is into 7 manzils, or portions to enable the reciter to complete its recitation in 7 days. These divisions, however, have nothing to do with the subject matter of Al-Quran, revealed piecemeal, but connected and arranged from the first. The Quran was revealed piecemeal, 25:32, during a period of 23 years, the shorter chapters generally, and some of the larger ones, being revealed entire and at one time, while the revelation of the majority of the larger chapters and some of the shorter chapters extended over many years. The practice was, as will be shown later on, that when a chapter was revealed in parts, the Holy Prophet specified under divine guidance the place of the verse revealed, and thus the arrangement of verses in each chapter was entirely his work. Similarly, later on, when a considerable portion had been revealed, the arrangement of the chapters was also the work of the Holy Prophet himself. It is in one of the earliest revelations that the Quran speaks of its collection as well as its revelation as being a part of the divine scheme. On us rests the collecting of it and the recitation of it. 75:17. The collection of the Holy Quran, which means the arrangement of its verses and chapters was therefore a work which was performed by the Holy Prophet himself under divine guidance, and it is a mistake to think that either Abu Bakr or Uthman was the collector of the Qur'an, although both of them did important work in connection with the dissemination of the written copies of the sacred text. Abu Bakr made the first complete written copy by arranging the manuscripts written in the time of the Holy Prophet in the order of the oral recitation of the Prophet's time. Uthman's work, on the other hand, was only the ordering of copies to be made from the written manuscript of Abu Bakr's time, and the placing of these copies in various centers of Islamic learning so that those who wrote the Holy Quran might be able to follow the standard copy. The text of the Holy Quran has thus been safeguarded from all alterations or corruptions in accordance with the divine promise contained in one of the earliest revelations. Surely we have revealed the reminder, and we are surely its guardian. 15:9. The subject of the purity of the text of the Holy Quran has been fully discussed further on. Meccan and Medinan revelations. Another division of the Holy Book concerns the Meccan and Medinan revelations. Of the 23 years over which the revelation of the entire book is spread, 13 years were passed by the Holy Prophet at Mecca, and 10 were passed at Medina, to which city he had to flee for the safety of his own life and the lives of his followers. Of the entire number of chapters, 93 were revealed at Mecca and 21 were revealed at Medina. But the 110th chapter, though belonging to the Medina period, was revealed at Mecca during the well-known farewell pilgrimage. The Medinan chapters, being generally longer, contain really about a third of the entire Quran. In arrangement, the Meccan revelation is intermixed with the Medinan revelation. Thus, the Holy Quran opens with a Meccan revelation, which is entitled The Opening, and is followed by 4 chapters revealed at Medina, which take up over 1/5 of the whole book, then follow alternately Meccan and Medinan revelations. As regard to the dates of the revelation of the various Meccan chapters, it is difficult to assign a particular year to a particular chapter, except in rare cases. But broadly, they may be divided into 3 groups: those revealed in the early Meccan period during the first 5 years, those revealed in the middle Meccan period from the 6th to the 10th year, and those revealed in the late Meccan period, i.e. those from the 11th year to the flight. The dates of the Medinan chapters, on the other hand, are tolerably certain and definite, but in this case, the difficulty is that the revelation of the longer chapters extended over lengthy periods, and a chapter which undoubtedly belongs to the earliest days at Medina sometimes contains verses which were revealed in the closing days of the Prophet's life. Subject to the remarks made above, the following dates may be approximately assigned to the different chapters or groups of chapters. Early Meccan, we have 60 chapters: 1, 17 through 21, 50 to 56, 67 to 109, 111 to 114. Middle Meccan period, 17 chapters, 29 through 32, 34 to 39, 40 to 46. Late Meccan period, 15 chapters, 6, 7, 10 through 16, 22, 23, 25 to 28. The Medina are the Al-Hijra, year 1 through 2, 6 chapters, 2, 8, 47, 61, 62, 64. Al-Hijra 3 through 4, 3 chapters, 3, 58 and 59. Al-Hijra 5 through 8, 9 chapters, 4, 5, 24, 33, 48, 57, 60, 63, 65. Al-Hijra 9 through 10, 4 chapters, 9, 49, 66, 110. Chronological order. The first 5 verses of the 96th chapter were undoubtedly the first revelation, and those were equally certainly followed by the first part of the 74th chapter, which again was, in all probability, followed by the first chapter, after which came the first part of the 73rd chapter. Beyond this, it is impossible to give a tolerably certain order. The attempt to give a chronological order is undoubted failure, even the shorter chapters were not revealed entire. For instance, the chronological order, which would place the 96th chapter first, while, as a matter of fact, every historian of Islam knows that only the first 5 verses were revealed first, 6 through 19 coming long afterwards when persecution of the Prophet had actually begun, and is made clear by verse 9 and 10, which speak of the prophet being prohibited from saying his prayers, and must be referred to about the time when Arqam's house was chosen for saying prayers, an event belonging to the 4th year of the call. If then we are confronted with such a serious difficulty in giving the first place to a chapter with which the revelation of the whole Qur'an undoubtedly began, what about the later chapters, and especially the longer ones? Take the 2nd chapter in its present order as another example. There is not the least doubt that its revelation began in the first, or the latest, in the 2nd year of the Hijrah, but it is equally certain that it contains verses that were revealed in 10 al-Hijrah. A chronological order of the different chapters is therefore an impossibility, and all that we can say with tolerable certainty is that the greater part of a certain chapter was revealed during a certain period, and this is my reason for assigning particular periods to particular chapters. The Meccan and Medinan revelations intermingled in the first arrangement. The first thing that strikes us in the present arrangement is the intermingling of Meccan and Medinan revelations. Surely there must have been some reason underlying this arrangement, and to discover this we must find the chief features which distinguish the Meccan from the Medinan revelations. A contrast of the two makes it clear that while the Meccan revelations grounded the Muslimin in faith to God, the Medinan revelation was meant to translate the faith into action. It is true that exhortations for good and noble deeds are met with in the Meccan revelations, and that faith is still shown in the Medinan revelations to be the foundation on which the structure of deeds should be built, but in the main stress is laid in the former on faith in an omnipresent and omnipotent God, who requites every good and evil deed, while the latter deals chiefly with what is good and what is evil. In other words, with the details of the law. Another feature distinguishing the two revelations is that while the Medinan revelation is generally prophetical, the revelation that came down at Medina deals with the fulfillment of prophecy. Again, if the Meccan revelation shows how true happiness of mind may be sought in communication with God, the Medinan revelation points out how man's dealing with man may be a source of bliss and comfort to him. Hence, the scientific arrangement of the Holy Qur'an could be made to rest only on the intermingling of the two revelations, the intermingling of faith with deeds, of prophecy with the fulfillment of the prophecy, of divine communication with man's relation and treatment of man. A cursory view of the present arrangement. A detailed view of the order in which the chapters follow one another shows the truth of the remarks made above, and for this the reader is referred to the introductory notes prefacing each chapter. A brief outline, however, may be given here. The Holy Book is prefaced with a short Meccan chapter, which, in its 7 short verses, contains the essence of the whole Qur'an, and teaches a prayer which is admittedly the most beautiful of all prayers taught by any religion, and that which sets before man an ideal greater than any other which can be conceived. If the preface is the quintessence of Al-Quran and places before man the highest ideal, by man, of course, human, gender neutral, sir. The commencement of the book is equally scientific, for the 2nd chapter opens with a clear statement as to its aims and objects. The first 4 chapters all belong to the Medinan revelation and occupy, as they do over a fifth of the whole Quran, deal in detail with the teachings of Islam, comparing them with previously existing teachings, particularly Jewish and Christian, which had by that time become the prototypes of errors in religion, the former laying too much stress on the outward ritual while utterly neglecting the spirit. Well, not quite, but that's a stereotype. And the latter condemning law itself, trusting to faith in Christ alone. Well, that's not how I'd say, the faith was in the community, and the other was the faith in the teacher, whether or not rather than those being an instrument for the path. So fanaticism either way, right? The greater part of Islamic law dealing with the individual home and civic life of man is contained in these 4 chapters. They are followed by 2 of the longest Meccan chapters, the first of which deals in detail with the doctrine of divine unity, and the second with that of prophethood. The latter chapter illustrates the doctrine of prophethood with reference to the histories of some well-known prophets. These 2 are again followed by 2 Medinan chapters which fit in with the context, as they show how opposition to truth, as revealed to their prophet, was dealt with. The first of these, the 8th, deals with their discomfiture in the first struggle in the Battle of Badr, and the second, the 9th, with their final vanquishment. Then follows a group of 7 Meccan chapters, the Alif Lam Ra group, dealing with the truth of the prophet's revelations, internal evidence from man's nature and from the histories of previous prophets, and from external nature being produced to establish their truth. Another group of the 5 Meccan chapters follows it, all dealing with the greatness to which Islam was destined to rise, with special reference to the Jewish history in chapter 17, to Christian history and doctrine in chapter 18 and 19, to the history of Moses in chapter 20, to the history of prophets in general, and their deliverance in chapter 21. 2 more Meccan chapters follows, the first showing that the prophet's cause must triumph through the faith, though the faithful would be required to make sacrifices for the cause of truth. The second showing that the foundation on which the greatness of the Muslim nation rested was moral, not material. Medinan chapter, the 24th, is then brought in to show how the prophecies of the Meccan revelations were being brought to fulfillment by the establishment of a Muslim kingdom and the dissemination of the spiritual light of Islam. The 25th chapter is again a Meccan revelation, which shows, as its name indicates, that the distinction between truth and falsehood which the Holy Qur'an was to establish was witnessed in the lives of the companions of the Holy Prophet. A group of 3 or more Meccan chapters, the Ta-Sin group, is then introduced, prophesying the ultimate triumph of the Holy Prophet. Special reference to the triumph of Moses over a powerful enemy who was bent upon destroying the Israelites. Another group of 4 Meccan chapters, the Alif Lam Mim group, follows and shows that the state of helplessness and utter weakness in which the Muslims were at that time would soon be changed. A Medinan chapter, the 33rd, is again showing how the combined forces of the enemies of Islam in the battle of the Confederates failed to crush Islam. The utmost simplicity of the Holy Prophet's domestic life is here brought in to show that the attractions of this world, such as wealth or kingdom, had no charm for him, notwithstanding that he then ruled Arabia, and that thenceforward he was a model for all nations and for all ages, no prophet being needed after him, and emphasizing that it was only short-sighted carpers who found fault with one and led a life of such unexampled purity and simplicity. A group of 6 Meccan chapters follows, showing that the rise and fall of nations are brought about by the good and evil which they do, and that nations which rise to greatness can retain their eminent position only if they are not ungrateful for the favors conferred upon them. The next group of 7 Meccan chapters is known as the Ha-Mim group, and it lays stress on the fact that the truth must overcome opposition, and that no temporal power, with all the temporal resources at its back, can annihilate truth. And this is followed by a group of 3 Medinan chapters, the 47th, which was revealed in the first year of the Hijrah, showing that those who had accepted the truth as revealed to the Holy Prophet, though in great distress, would soon have their condition ameliorated. The next, which belongs to the 6th year of the Hijrah, predicting in the clearest words the final triumph of Islam over all the religions of the world. Now, religion in the Arabic goes beyond a term for religion, so we're talking about every system of judgment, right? And the last of this group, which was revealed toward the close of the Holy Prophet's life, enjoining on the Muslim the duty of respect for one another, from the 50th to the 56th, is another group of 7 Meccan chapters, pointing out the great spiritual awakening which was to be brought about by the Holy Qur'an. Then comes the last group of Medinan revelations, 10 chapters in all, from the 57th to the 66 which supplement what was already been said in the previous Medinan chapters. The last of these, the 65th and the 66th, being clearly a supplement to the second chapter, Al-Baqarah, and dealing with the subject of divorce and temporary separation. Then follow 48 short Meccan chapters showing how men and nations can rise to eminence by following the truth, which is revealed in the Holy Qur'an, and how they suffer loss by rejecting the truth. The Holy Book ends with a concise but clear declaration of divine unity in chapter 112. The last two chapters tell a man how to seek refuge in divine protection against all kinds of mischief. And